And it is officially time to start. So welcome guys, welcome to Gdansk. It is 10 p.m. Polish time, and it is 12th of November 2023. So if you're watching this on, it's not 12th of November anymore, you're watching the replay. Because I know sometimes people get a bit confused on whether they are live, or if they're watching the replay a bit later. And if anyone was completely new to me, I'm Nathalie, and I'll take you tonight for a little live streaming walk in Gdansk in Poland. And I'm a tourist, I'm not a local, so I'll tell you a little bit of what I've learned in the last few days. But it's basically a little walk where we'll explore together. Feel free to use the chat, ask me any questions. I might not know, but I'll try anyway. And let's go. Let me flip this camera around. Let's go and take a quick look. So we've got a few gates here. This is the high gate here. And this beautiful building, it's actually one of the oldest one in Gdansk. Part of the wall, just there in at the bottom, part of the wall is actually from the Teutonic Knights at the beginning of the 14th century. So that's quite impressive. And then it's been built again. And then it became, it was some kind of a fortification at the time to protect the city. It was already a city. In the Middle Ages, Gdansk was actually one of the richest cities in Europe because it was such a massive port. And eventually, though, this became a prison. So you'd have some of the criminals locked in here. Some of the witches would have been executed or burned just here. This was a little market square. And no one wanted to live next to the hangman, you know. So apparently he had some apartments at the top up there. So the hangman lived here with the prisoners. And of course, depending on the crime, you might be hanged or not. And if you were not hanged, well, you could have a different type of punishment, whipping. If you looked at the wall here, can you see that little bricked up door? Apparently that was for the public whipping. So the audience would be where I'm standing now. And then at the door there, you'd have some criminals, probably half naked or fully naked, being whipped by the hangman. You still have a few instruments of torture inside. I've gone through the other day. I don't know if you were meant to pay. I've just gone through and nearly got locked in, by the way. But I don't know if it was meant to be charged. And this is the Golden Gate. At the top up there, you can see some of the virtue that you're meant to have, like liberty or whatever it might be. So beautiful gate. It's from the beginning of the 1600s. So this is part of the royal procession route. And when I said the royals, the kings and queens in Poland, that was quite interesting. They were not really a dynasty. They were elected from different dynasties in Europe. So they would be on the throne, but their sons would not be. Then there would be another election. So that's interesting. That's morbid. Yes, those public executions, they would have been very dark shows indeed. So as you can see, it's absolutely beautiful, although this is pretty much all fake. Gdansk was massively destroyed by the Soviets at the end of World War II. And what you can see today is 95% rebuilt after the war. So it might look absolutely stunning from the outside, but behind those walls, it's quite classic communist style apartments. And there are very few buildings that are actually original in Gdansk. Straight ahead, that's the city hall there. That's original. We'll get a bit closer in a moment. But most of it has actually been rebuilt. Pretty much as it would have been, Suzanne, as it would have been before. apparently there was an amazing collaboration between the Polish historians and the Germans right after World War II, and they actually got all the historical sources and documents to rebuild it pretty much as it would have been at the time. It is very quiet because it's 10 p.m. and I guess a lot of people are in bed because it's been a busy weekend because it was Independence Day on Saturday. Hi Sandrine, welcome. So I know you might be like, Independence Day, isn't it? You know, wasn't it the end of World War I? Yes, it was indeed. But for the Poles, the end of, the day of the Treaty of Versailles, it's actually their Independence Day because they were before that under the Germans. And after the First World War, the city of Gdansk, that was known at the time as the Free City of Danzig, still today the Germans actually call it Danzig. I thought I missed something in the chat, but no. So yeah, the city at the time was independent. So although it traded a lot with the rest of Poland, it was completely independent between the two world wars. So there was a bit of a parade yesterday. I'll show you the parade on my YouTube videos. I'll do a couple of videos about what I've seen and done through my trip. So this is the Great Artillery Building. So as the name say it used to be for artillery. This one is original as well. Not the inside because it burned down at some point, but the facade, a lot of it, it's been obviously reworked by some of the art students. But yeah, it was absolutely beautiful building, yes. And today it's part of the art school. You can see you've got the next building is quite, you've got the modern art and the old art here. But yeah, beautiful building. So that was the artillery for a while. And let me turn around. This street is also quite interesting. Mr. Adolf Hitler, he actually stayed on this street at some point. So between, at the beginning of the rise of the Nazis, Gdansk, the Free City of Danzig, some people still call it Danzig today, well, especially Germans, they were independent, so they had their own, election and all that, and sadly there was a politician that was a Nazi, basically. His name was, I think, Albert Fosters, and he was really good at his job, sadly, so he kind of managed to convince local people. You'd have to know, at the time, most of the population was German. This had been a German territory for so long that most people were German, and in 1933, Hitler himself was invited here. He stayed with Fosters, and he managed to convince the people to go for his party. So really, there were 12 years here of Nazi terror from 1933. Let me cross over. So yeah, the horrors of the war kind of started a little bit earlier here than anywhere else, because of course we all know how the Nazis worked. You had the humans were of course the German, and you had all those subhumans, everybody else. And already before the beginning of the war, people here that were maybe intelligent or educated people or entrepreneurs or even Boy Scouts were eliminated. And anyway, let's move on to something a little bit more beautiful. This is the Holy Church of St. Mary. I believe in the summer you can go up somewhere, but I've not seen anyone going up, so I guess it's closed in the winter, like the town hall. Yes, Tish, there's a monument that they even killed those scouts because they were against any association or any, somehow educated people that could go against the party. I mean, yeah. I'll do a little. I don't want to talk about the war too much because I'll do a little video as well about the horrors of the war here. I think I'll do 2 videos, one about the fun stuff and one about the dark stuff. Although I was gonna go to, I had a rubbish day. I was gonna go to a concentration camp today. It's about an hour from here. It's called Stenthof. It was the first concentration camp outside of Germany. And well, it's a bit complicated to get there. On a Sunday, I keep forgetting that Sundays in Catholic Europe, it's a nightmare. Everything is closed. So I had a choice between a bus at 8:15 or 12:15. But I wasn't quite sure whether I could pay for the ticket on the bus, and I knew there wasn't going to be any ladies at the cashier on a Sunday. And eventually I was still not quite sure whether I could pay, so I didn't want to wake up at 6 to go and catch a bus at 8, so I went for the 12:15, and then I couldn't get any information at the bus station, and then I realized that my bus back would have been a bit late anyway, 6:40, so I would have had 4 hours to kill by the concentration camp. So I was like, stuff it then. I'm going to Malbrook Castle, which is the largest castle in the world. Jumped on a train, got to Malbrook. It was fully booked. So I went all the way there for nothing. So I had to wait a couple of hours there because I couldn't jump straight back on a train because I had already booked my return. So I had to stay with the same company. So I came back a bit earlier, but staying with the same company. So basically, I've seen none of the things I wanted to see today. And so yeah, not my best day, but it happens. That's what happens when you do stuff last minute. And so all of that to tell you that I've not seen the concentration camp. I hear it was quite a difficult, well, they were all difficult, weren't they, those camps. Don't be sorry for me, Tish. It's my fault. Bad decisions. I should have gone for the one at 8:15 in the morning anyway. Although if you were not able to pay on a bus, then I would have been there very early for nothing. But hey ho. Anyway, this is the other side of the Holy St. Mary. There have been a recent funeral in there in 2019. Sadly, there was the mayor of Gdansk. He was murdered in a public show. Actually, he was running some kind of a charity event, and some convicts with mental health issues jumped on stage with a knife and he stabbed him. Poor Pavel died, and you rarely see these days funerals in medieval churches anymore, but because he was the mayor, he got permission to be buried in there. I have a feeling that they call the mayors here president, because I'm pretty sure I saw the mayor yesterday at the parade. There was this lady. She seemed to say "Dzień dobry, dzień dobry" to everyone, and like everyone she didn't know. So I was like, oh, she must be famous. And then I googled the Gdansk mayor, and I think it was her. But they called her president with a ZY. So I don't know why they called the mayor president. Maybe because it used to be the free city of Danzig. I don't know. But anyway, yeah. She's very much still alive, this one. It's the previous one that was trying to show you the gargoyle, but it's not best. Let me go to the other one that is probably a bit brighter. Oh, this one here. Hold on, let me climb here. So this street here, if you come at daytime, it's full of amber traders, and you have those amazing gargoyles. So they are actually gargoyles. So they're getting out the water from the drains, from the gutter. And it used to be water running down there. So that's why you have those little stairs. So that was to go over the water. Yeah, beautiful streets again, all fake. Well, not fake, but redone. So it looks beautiful and old. It dates from after the war, really. At daytime, you have a lot of those amber traders here. We are on the amber route, so you'll find a lot of amber in souvenir shops, whether it's necklaces or any little amber souvenir. Let me go down this way. So yeah, beautiful street. The amber, by the way, in the Middle Ages, you have a president in every city in Poland. Oh, that makes sense, Ursula. Good. Because, I was confused. I was like, I'm Googling the mayor and I get the president. So I was wondering if it was only here in Gdansk because it used to be independent, or if it's a president per city. Good to know. You prefer those than the Soviet era? Yes. Oh, so do I. Yeah, it's much, much more beautiful. Yeah. And it's, in a way, we do not have, as far as I know, we don't really have many other old towns that are new. So it looks exactly like the perfect European old town, if you know what I mean, because it's just new and beautiful. Well, new, not that new, but from after the war. And, Gdansk was massively destroyed by the Russian, but whose fault was it? This is actually very much debatable because, okay, it's the Soviets that destroyed it, but it's almost like one of the rules, unsaid rules in modern warfare, is that you don't really defend an old city. When the Allies liberated Paris, the German left, or they kind of drove the fights away from Paris, so Paris was not destroyed. The very reason the Nazis did not want to let Gdansk go, it's because of the shipyards. There are some amazing shipyards here, and they've been producing some of the first submarines, and they didn't want the shipyard to go to the enemy because, of course, they would have all the secrets of the submarines and all that. So that's why they've defended the city, and that's why it was so much destroyed. Anyway, we are now at another marketplace called, well, at the time it was called the Smelly Market, because that was the market with the fresh products. So butter or cream or whatever, so you'd smell it and you'd know straight away if it's no good. And see the little off-license across the street? Zapka, they are everywhere. So it's like an off-license from like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. And in there they do hot dogs, very decent hot dogs, for like £1. It's probably the only, try to get a lunch for £1 in London, you'd never get that. So in any of those off-license, you can get a decent hot dog for £1. Right, let's go back towards the main street. Every big city, yeah. It looks very quiet now, but a few hours ago there was actually a little protest supporting Palestine. So it was much busier. And of course, yesterday, with Independence Day, yesterday was very busy, very, very busy. So we're back at the front of the town hall. So that is the building we've seen from the distance earlier. And we'll go and take a look at the Arthur's Court. Arthur, like from the legend of King Arthur. And the Neptune fountain. So this is the Arthur's Court. That's where you had all those nobles coming to discuss everything. And the Neptune fountain, it's from the beginning of the 1600s. Well, not all of it. The vine leaf covering his genitals are actually much newer. At the time, they didn't mind. And some of you might have seen this statue before because it has been used for branding. It's actually been one of the first international marketing campaign or rebranding. It used to, you've got a fountain, so people used to drop some coins, to make a wish. And at the time, it was a lot of golden coins. So you had a few golden coins in the fountain. And there was a liquor that was produced here. It's like vodka with anises. People didn't really like it. They didn't really like the anises. And one day they had an idea. big marketing campaign. Apparently, suddenly, Neptune, so it's Neptune is the god of the seas, of course, because Gdansk it's such a big port. Neptune had enough, and apparently, with the water and the gold, he created a drink. Let me show you the drink. Golden Wasser. So that little liquor that was not very popular was now rebranded as the liquor of Gdansk. And they have, I didn't actually see it in the shops, but they have little golden particles at the bottom. It's probably very expensive, so I've not tried it. But yeah, amazing marketing campaign in the 17th century. So there's nothing new in the marketing campaigns we see today. You love the white building, so that's the Arthur's Court. It's white at the front, but the back is actually a very different color. The back is bricked. And this is, of course, the town hall. You can also go all the way up, but that's only in the summer, apparently. Cool. So, do we know what temperature it is right now? I don't. According to Google, it was 5 degrees Celsius, but I don't want the temperature in Celsius. I want it in Fahrenheit. Because guess what? Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit lived here. So that's why we've got a little thermometer. He actually created the first mercury thermometer, so that's a little replica here. Funnily enough, Poland is now using, of course, the Celsius, like I believe everyone in Europe, but Mr. Fahrenheit was here. And let me show you a little hidden gem at the back. We won't see much at night because, well, it's a bit dark, but you'll see some of them in my video. This is a little lion here. His name is Ewe Lion. He's been named after Johannes Evelius. He was an astronomist that lived here. And there are quite a few of them around town, 10 of them in total. And some of them are outside of town, like on the beach area and everything. So it's basically a little lion. Some of them look like a monkey, but it's a lion cub. And they've been spread across the city in location with historical importance. So that one had a thermometer, so he was representing Fahrenheit. You can actually go on a little trail to find all the Ewe lions in town. I found most of them apart from one that was stolen. When I actually went, it's in a brewery, like a bar. I was like, I'm sure it's there. I've seen the photo on Google Map. I'm sure it's there. So I went into the pub with my photo of the little Ewe lion. And he was like, no, it's been stolen. There's another one that is, see the building to the left? It is 42 Fahrenheit. Okay. Well, you know what? When Fahrenheit created that scale, he actually made a few mistakes. He said that the human temperature was 100, but he took it on somebody's temperature that person was a bit sick. So that was wrong, slightly off. And he also calculated the temperature of freezing water at minus 17. But that's because he calculated the temperature of seawater. So salted water, that was what was interesting the sailors, of course. Although if it's the Baltic Sea, because it's not very salty, it's probably not the same temperature as the Atlantic Ocean, for example. But yeah. So there's a little museum straight ahead there with an Ewe lion inside as well. But I tried to go in and see the little lion, and the gentleman did not seem to know what I was talking about. So I'm missing 2 Ewe lions, the one that was stolen and the one that is inside that museum. And now I'm under the Green Gate. So the Green Gate is not exactly green. It's not actually green at all. Apparently at some point they had some, around the windows it was green. And across the river here, there was the granary. So that's where they'll store the grains from arriving from the port or from anywhere else. And would you believe this little bridge was used in a Bollywood movie as Paris? They apparently, so those Indian movies, they have usually a lower budget. they wanted to have a love scene in Paris, but filming in Paris was going to be too expensive. So they said, oh, any town in any city in Europe, that would do. And so they ended up in Gdansk. So apparently there's a scene right here with the lovers walking around Paris with this background. 42 Fahrenheit in Massachusetts. So we're probably quite similar temperatures then. Anyway, let's go down to see the river. Motwana River. It's a tricky one because this is the river, but on the other side of the Canary Island, it's a canal. But they look the same. But yeah, there's a lot of nice bars and restaurants right here. The busiest time in Gdansk, it's usually beginning of August, because they've got the Saint Dominic Festival. It's like a market festival that's been happening for 754 years, if I'm not wrong. And it's never, ever been cancelled. It was going on through COVID. The traders were just a little bit more spread apart. It was going on through the Black Death at the beginning of I think it's at the beginning of the 18th century they had it, 1709, if I remember right. And I mean, half of the city died because of that festival that they had anyway, despite the Black Death. And yeah, it's apparently the busiest time to come here. And I suppose in August you can probably enjoy a bit of the beach as well, because you're not too far from the beach. So basically Gdansk is part of the Tri-City. You have Sopot and Gdansk. So those are three cities that are quite close to one another. And what happened so basically we have a port here on the shipyard here, and you have another one at Gdansk, because at the time when Gdansk was an independent city, the natives managed to convince them to stop business with Poland, because the natives were not ready for war quite yet. So they tried what they could do, some kind of a Cold War, some kind of an economical war. And of course, because Poland had then they had lost their port and shipyards, they had to create another one. So just a few miles from here, you have another one that actually belonged to Poland at the time. Nowadays, of course, Gdansk is very much part of Poland, but in that time, in between the wars, it was not. Ursula, not sure what you said. Polish is so difficult to sometimes as I was here for those last 3 days, sometimes I'd see a statue and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna Google that, right? But just copying it down, it's like copying a Wi-Fi password. It's just very tricky. There was a monument on the other side of town that I was like, oh, I need to Google that. I don't know what, it looked like some kind of some people must have died, And I looked at all the words, none of them I recognized apart from one. It said tragedy with a double E at the end. And stupidly I went, yes, because I just recognized one word. So I'm probably the only person that goes yes when they see tragedy, but not because it was a tragedy, but yes, because I recognized one word. So yeah, it's welcome Rose, never too late, never too late. It's a beautiful building here. Yeah, I wish I could have learned a bit more Polish terms, but it's a difficult one. To us, it looks like there's not enough vowel, Anyway, we don't see much at night time, but across the river there, see the building with the, all you see is the roof. It's actually a crane. You're really happy you don't have to learn Polish? Well, sometimes I say the same about French. If I wasn't French, I wouldn't learn it. It's full of rules and exceptions and, yeah. So yeah, this is the crane gate. You'll see it a bit better on my video, but it's become one of the symbols really of Gdansk. When you see any postcards, they often see the building. It was a massive crane that was powered by big wheels, human-sized wheels. So you had those humans running in the wheel like a human hamster, really, to power the crane, to lift up some of the goods. So yeah, it's quite, and now it's become irony. It's become one of the symbols of Gdansk. So on the other side here, that's the canal. So I'm in some kind of a little island. So I'll just show you the other side, and we'll finish down there. Actually, we might be. I think I can show you my hotel or my hostel. I'm in a dorm with. Oh, hold on, my microphone is falling. Bear with me. I'm in a dorm with another. Well, it's a 10-bed dorms, but I think it's only 3 girls tonight. So far, everyone that I've met in the last few nights at the hostel, they were all traveling alone. So it's easier to make friends when people are alone because, of course, they're a bit more friendly. So see the tower in the middle? That's my hotel. It's a weird one because the first 4 floors, it's a hostel. So we're paying 15 quid a night and we share a room and everything. And all the top, it seems to be quite a fancy hotel, but with the same reception. So I can have a free umbrella if when I go out and it's raining. It's the type of services you never get in a hostel. And it's actually lovely, nice and clean, much cleaner than any hostel anywhere, but because it's the same standard. And I can see it does look like there's some kind of a rooftop at the top. Some of my roommates, we've been trying to get there, but we cannot go to the 10th floor. There's only number 9, so I don't know how to get there, but there is a bar up there. Probably out of my price range. Anyway, that's gonna be the end of the tour. Do let me know if you have any questions before we go. I'll show you my face again. And if you want to see a little bit more of Gdansk, keep an eye out on my channel in the next week or so. I'm probably going to have to wait until my voice is normal again, but I'll do a couple of videos of everything else I've discovered here. Thanks, Tish. Thanks, Sam. Emily, there could be some stairs hidden somewhere, but we just didn't find them. Not a big loss. I've been up a hill on the other side. There's a lovely hill that you have a nice view as well. So I've had my view of the city from above. What brought me to Gdansk? Ronilyn, prices. I could be wrong, but I suspect that Gdansk is being used as a base for Ryanair and Wizz Air. Because when you check the cheapest destinations in Europe, you often have some late flights in the evening coming to Gdansk and leaving very early morning. And I think it's probably because they're quite good in airport taxis or anything. So I suppose there's a lot of flights from Ryanair that sleep here tonight, or every night, as a matter of fact. So I already knew that Gdansk was a cheap one in terms of flights. So I had 4 days off and I was like, oh, I want to go somewhere. So I just checked. Thank you, Bita. Thank you, Pisas. Thank you, Michelle. Cool. I don't see any more questions, so I'm gonna let you go. If any of you left me a little tip on buy me a coffee or on PayPal, thank you very much. I'm gonna let you go because I don't want to use all my EU data because I'm taking you to Budapest at the end of the month. It's not going to be a tour. It's going to be about my experience about being a medical tourist. And I have one more destination in Europe as well a few days later that's not been published. So I need to save my data. Anyway, see you later. Have a good evening, a good morning, whatever time it is for you, wherever you are in the world. And if you want to see a bit more of me, Thursday, I think it's Thursday night, we're heading to Euston Road. So we'll have a bit of a murder mystery there as well. Cool. Thank you guys. See you later. Bye-bye.